Hey guys, it's Max. How's everybody doing? I appreciate y'all for being here. I have what I hope is going to be a good show. YieldMax had a new baby. They named him GPTY. Kind of think if Feppy and YMAX had a baby, it might be GPTY. GPTY, going places thanks to YieldMax, baby. I was trying to think of fun acronym ideas, but anyway, this is the AI tech portfolio option income, whatever. It's similar to LFGY. LFGY was more focused on crypto. This is more focused on AI. This reminds me a little bit of FEPI, FEPI, a favorite around from around here. We talk about that one all the time. All right, this fund debuted, I think the day before yesterday now. I've been working on this slide for a couple of days. This thing's going to be a weekly pain ETF. All right, let's check out the prospectus. Okay, the first thing I thought was kind of interesting. Look at these names of these other funds that are coming out. We already have LFGY and GPTY just came out. So we have crypto and AI, but we have China coming out sometime. That's going to be CHNY. We're going to have Chippy, CHPY, and DRGY. Draggy is going to be or Druggy. It's going to be the big pharma one. Anyway, all right, so this just says your standard stuff. It's the standard high, expense, 99 bips or standard. It's standard for these guys. Same advisor, same sub-advisor, same everything. Actively managed, seeks income and capital appreciation. It says they're gonna construct a portfolio of AI and tech companies, and then they're gonna generate income on an option portfolio, which uses option anyway, just your basic stuff, which uses options on the companies itself, is what it says. The fund will also maintain a minor allocation to cash or treasuries, less than 10%. So the equity strategy, it just says they're gonna pick a portfolio of people involved in the AI consulting software, IT services, tech business. I kind of think of it as big data, interactive media, diversified customer services. I mean, we'll look at who they have in here in a second. Then, then after that, they're going to do an option strategy overlay on top. Pretty standard stuff, but this is a little different. So this says the different types of strategies they're looking at. They're looking at covered calls. They're looking at selling credit spreads. They're looking at selling diagonal spreads. They're looking at cash secured put selling. They can do a calendar spread, and they can also do callers. And we know callers from Alti. That's been pretty popular. The caller strategy itself has been pretty popular. So, and that is about all it says. There is nothing else that's really new, I don't think. Okay. All right. So I said earlier it was similar to FEPI. It's also similar to LFGY. Um, but as far as the stocks in it, the stocks on the right are a list of FEPI's biggest holdings. Now, LFGY concentrates on DeFi and Bitcoin, but this is the same thing for AI, cloud computing, networking, big data, right? All right, so I tried to make a list of both of them together. So on the right is FEPI, and on the left is GPTY. So what I see is Taiwan Semiconductor is on GPTY, but not in FEPI, and Micron is in one of them, but not the other one. Other than that, it looks to me like they're all in common. It looks to me like FEPI is equally weighted, and it looks to me like GPTY is not equally weighted. But anyway, we'll get a chance to ask Jay about that. And it did not say anything in the prospectus about that. Jay's going to come on the show, I think February 16th or something. We'll have him on probably a live stream. Okay, so you get all the standard yield max stuff, like I said, high yield, high expense ratio. You get covered calls, the weekly time frame. You get a weekly paycheck, which is good. Um, And right now they're using covered call spreads. I know the prospectus said what they can use, but I've looked at what they are using. They have on two covered call spreads and the rest just covered calls. So covered call is just stock, and they own the shares in these. None of these are synthetic like they do in some other funds. Um, that they own the shares in these. But and they don't really do that many synthetics anymore. Well, they do sometimes. They have two stocks right now that have a covered call spread. A covered call spread is like a covered call, but with a little extra side of upside. Anyway, so that's in AI and NVDA, meaning the upside is partially uncapped. But the rest of it's just like FEPI. Now, I will say FEPI I think they sell options in the monthly time frame, or I know they do. I know they do. So, but these guys right here aren't trying to reinvent the wheel. If you like YieldMax, you'll probably like this. But there's one important difference that I haven't talked about yet, and it was not in the prospectus. And I don't know if anyone else has spotted this, but when I was going through the positions, you can see it in the positions. They have a gosh darn put hedge on this portfolio, a portfolio put hedge. I've heard people say a million times, in live streams, "Hey Jay, do you have any plans to protect the downside?" A common criticism of covered call ETFs, they seemingly have no downside protection. Um, Now, of course, that's not really true because they have the yield, and the yield is the downside protection, and that's good enough for Warren Buffett, and it's good enough for a lot of people. However, it's not good enough for everybody. And so Jay's accommodated those people, and he invented ULTY, and all he did was use a collar strategy, which is an old tried and true option trading strategy, but he put a collar strategy on. And what that does is that puts put level protection on each stock in Alty's portfolio. And that's done a decent job at cutting down on the volatility, especially the downside volatility. Well, this thing's a real game changer because now he's added a portfolio level insurance. He has plenty of long stock, and it's unencumbered to go up as much as it wants to. It's covered calls and covered call spreads. And that's great. He's 99% of the portfolio is long and bullish, but he added a triple Q, which is a NASDAQ put strategy. It's the first ETF I know of that's aggressively betting both ways. There's ETFs that buy puts, lots of them, but there's another one or two I know of that also do similar stuff. But this is one of the few that is really a long bullish, ETF that's going for total return and current income. But at the same time, they have about 40% of the portfolio's downside in a steep pullback, like a 10 or 20% pullback. They have about 40% of the downside locked out, or I guess they have about 60% locked out. But in any event, they're only going to catch about half the downside. So it's a real interesting strategy that other people aren't doing, and I don't think anyone has noticed this. It should look like YieldMax with maybe less volatility. So we're going to get an option strat. I'm going to show you what I'm going to try to show you what I'm talking about, and then we're going to get in the back tester just real quick. Okay, so let me just we'll start from scratch. Okay, 99% of the time I talk about selling puts and selling put spreads. Selling puts is what Triple QI does and Defiance does. That's Warren Buffett does that. That's selling a put. Selling an in the money put is synthetically the same thing as selling an out of the money call with stock. This is not that. This is puts, and it's a spread, but it's a different kind of spread. I usually am talking about a bull put spread. I usually just don't call them that, but or a credit spread is usually what I call it. But this would be a debit spread or a bear put spread. Okay, so all they did is they have the Qs. They went out to March, so they're they're 2.5 months out. They're in the quarterly time frame. They bought the 500 strike put, and they sold the 450. Okay. So the 500, why not? Why not just buy that alone? They could just buy this alone. It's $522, just to buy it alone. And that's the reason you went. Because you could go down here to 450, you could sell this one for $1.38, and then you bring your cost in the trade down to $387. That makes a difference. Okay, so what Jay did is yesterday, the first day it was trading, he had this trade on 100 times, meaning it's 100 spread, meaning he was long 100 and short 100. So he was long the 500 put, which gives him, the right to sell the Qs at 500. So if the Qs drop, these options are really valuable. But anyway, but then at the same time, he did sell the 450 put just to recoup some of his money. Anyway, but what this does is yesterday when he did this, the portfolio's value was 3.7 million, the assets under management. Okay, well, if you look, this cost about 38,000, so it cost 1% of the assets under management. But the other thing I noticed is say we get into next week or something, the market drops 10. Okay. The $3.7 million portfolio would be down about 370,000. Okay. This option position would be up 170,000, about half of it. The option position, it cuts out about half the downside. It's like doing your own buffer fund. I mean, I love the idea. If I was him, I'd keep it on all the time. I don't know if he's going to keep it on all the time. It looks like it costs 1%, and it looks like he does it once a quarter. I mean, we'll see. I mean, we'll see what he does. But anyway, so overnight, he came in and he added 30 contracts. So now it's 130 by 130. But they also brought in assets. They have like 5 million in assets. So they added $1.25 million in assets, and they brought in, and they put 30 options on. I think it's 20 options for $1 million is the thing. But anyway, so watch this. Now, if you have a $5 million portfolio, and say we go a few days, or say we go all the way to April, it doesn't matter. Say we go 50 days, nothing happens. Then in April, all of a sudden, we found ourselves trading at 474. Well, that could happen. This trade's worth $272,000 profit. Now, granted, your $5 million portfolio is down about 500,000, but once again, you have half your downside mathematically locked out, down to a certain point, and then, but anyway, all right. But I think this is really interesting and a big step in the right direction. And all those people that think these things don't have downside protection, Alti kind of does. I mean, Alti does at the individual stock level. This has it at the portfolio level. So I think this is going to be huge. Now, one other thing, this is a simple thing to test. Those, I didn't mention it, but just in case anyone cares, that the delta that they're buying is the 20 delta. The delta they're selling is the 5 delta. So the 20 delta, when you buy a 20 delta option, that means 80% of the time you're going to lose money. Delta is what the percentage of time that it's going to finish in the money. It doesn't mean you might not sell it and make money. I mean, but it means if you hold it till expiration, 80% of the time you're going to lose money on that option if it's a 20 delta. That's its rough chance of finishing in the money. Okay, so it's kind of like throwing money away, but at the same time, when you do, if you do get a big downdraft where, let's say it drops 15 or something, then this thing's worth, 500, almost, 520,000. I mean, and of course, yeah, the $5 million fund is going to be down 750, or 800 or something, but it sure is nice to have this. All right. So it's important to know what deltas it is and the odds and everything. So I loaded that trade into the back tester. buy one put at the 20 delta, 30 days out. I did 30 days out. Anyway, sell one put at the 5 delta 30 days out. But I did that, and I showed if a person would have done that, and would have just done that continuously, how they would have done in 2022 when the market pulled way back. And of course, you would have done awesome. That's how this is designed to do. So Jay has this trade on 130 times right now. So if we have a bad market, the puts will go up in value. Now we don't want a bad market when that's not what we're aiming for. But anyway, I thought that was interesting. All right, so I really think this thing is going to be it's just something we haven't seen before, except maybe in Alti, and this is a level more comprehensive. This is more like a hedge fund. This is, this one, I have hopes that this one, is going to drop 10% when the market drops 20%, but be up just about as much when the market's up, give or take, but pay the same insane yield, the type of yield that these high yield stocks pay. Just cut out some of the downside with the put overlay. I love it. Now, it didn't say anything about the put overlay in the prospectus, not one thing. So I don't know if it's just coincidence. The J has it in there. It doesn't say they're going to do that. It really doesn't even say they can do that. And in fact, in the trades that it did say they can do that, buying puts for protection, the pair put spread was not on the list of stuff they even can do. But I love it. I mean, I love it. I don't know. I'll be anxious to know what you guys think. We'll see what happens. I mean, the downside to hedging, I mean, anyone can hedge anything. The downside to hedging is there's a cost. And sometimes the market just goes straight up anyway. At the end of the year, when you've got everything hedged, you look at this, you're just going, well, why did I hedge everything? It's causing such a drag on my portfolio. And the market's going up all the time anyway. I should have just not hedged. But anyway, a lot of people think it's better, instead of hedging, to just be fully invested, except not fully invested, keep 10% cash, or keep a large amount of cash or money markets or something, out of equities, or where you can lay your hands on. Money market would be better. And then, a lot of people use that as a hedge. Well, I have a $50,000 in a money market, and I'm gonna, if the dip comes, I'm gonna buy the dip. And that's a good hedge too. So there's nothing wrong with that hedge. Cash is always a good hedge. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate it. I'd like to know what you guys think about it. Let me know what you guys think about this fund. All right, guys. See you later.